Hey everybody, Dr. Jared Skowron from Spectrum Awakening. Today we're going to be talking about probiotics. Probiotics are very well-known, very commonly used supplement, especially with our kids with autism. Hold on, sorry, just swiping some stuff up there. So it's really important for us to talk about probiotics, who needs them, why do you need them, which ones do you need, and what you should expect for outcomes. And luckily there is a decent amount of scientific research on probiotics with autism. So we're just going to be talking through all the little details of probiotics, a little bit about prebiotics, and what you may want to do for your kids, what may help, what may not help, etc. Okay, so not sure where to start. Actually, let me start with some agenda stuff first. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of it all, a couple agenda things. We have activated the new Facebook stars system. Okay, so some people will get stars to give out to people, and when you give stars to someone, Facebook is going to send them some advertising dollars. We're going to take all those advertising dollars and give it to autism organizations. We're going to give it to TACA, and we're going to give it to Autism Hope Alliance. So if you do have these Facebook stars and you want to donate, we'll take 100% of those and just move it over to TACA and these other autism organizations. So that's number one. Number two, I'm super happy and excited to talk about our brand new supplements. So we're going to be adding 5 new supplements to our line. And as with most of our supplements, we have a naming survey. So we don't name most of our supplements, we let you do it because you guys have great ideas, better than I do. So we want you to help name our supplements. So we're going to be posting these and listing them, but basically, let me walk through them. We've got 5 new supplements. First off, a lot of you have been asking for more gummies. So we're going to introduce a vitamin C gummy, a vitamin D gummy, and an elderberry gummy. So we need names for those 3 different gummy products. We also have a new calcium powder. Now this calcium powder seems pretty simple. There's calcium everywhere. However, this calcium powder is very sweet tasting because it's a calcium glycinate versus a calcium citrate or a calcium malate. We're going to start avoiding malates in our forms because that does increase the absorption of aluminum into the body. So it's very sweet tasting, and calcium is great to bind oxalates. So if your child has problems with oxalates, or you're on a low oxalate diet, or you got an oat test back that had high levels of oxalic acid in it, you're probably going to want to start a calcium supplement. If you're dairy free, you probably should make sure your child gets enough calcium, because honestly, the people who need the most calcium are young kids and the elderly, because those are the ones whose bones need to grow. All right, so we're introducing a new calcium powder. Again, sweet tasting, help with the oxalates. Last but not least, we have a super powered, super bomb Candida and Parasite supplement, which is really cool. In fact, hold on, I've got it here. I'm going to be using a lot of cheaters. Oh, somebody sent us some stars. Thanks, Desiree. We sent 100 stars. And again, anybody who sends stars, 100% of those we're passing on to autism organizations like TACA or Autism Hope Alliance. So thank you. That's awesome. Let's help these bigger organizations because they help all of us. Our super bomb new Candida and Parasite supplement. We don't have a supplement for parasites, but we're going to now, okay? It is going to include oregano, caprylic acid, anise, black walnut, wormwood. It also includes the biofilm enzymes that we use. It also includes lactobacillus, a probiotic. It also includes arabinogalactan, a prebiotic. It also includes, did I say aloe vera? Also includes aloe vera. Also includes reishi mushroom. So this is an amazing combo supplement that has the herbs to kill yeast, the herbs to kill parasites, probiotic, prebiotic, mushrooms, and a biofilm enzyme. It's really cool combo supplement. You gotta swallow the pills though, because honestly, I opened this up and tasted it, and it tasted like lamb to me, like that gamey lamb and goat flavor, which I don't like, and I really didn't enjoy the taste of it. But if you can swallow the pills, it's got everything in one: probiotic, prebiotic, biofilm enzyme, herbs to kill yeast, herbs to kill bacteria, herbs to kill parasites. I'm really excited about it. You gotta swallow the pills to take it, because again, the taste is horrific if you open it up, but it's really, really cool. So we need names for those. We'll have these surveys up here on Facebook. You submit a name. If we pick the name that you chose, then you get a free bottle. So that's awesome. I love these naming surveys. Okay. What else was on our agenda? I think that's it. We talked about the stars. We talked about the new product survey. So let's get into probiotics. Okay. First off, what are probiotics and how do probiotics differ from prebiotics? Well, our body is the home to trillions of live organisms, okay? They call this the microbiome. And basically, that's a big fancy term for all of the good, healthy organisms that live on us and in us and around us. And they help us in a myriad of ways. They change our digestion. They affect our brain chemistry. They affect our absorption and inflammation. And some are good and some are bad. So these probiotics are these living organisms that help us with so many things, right? There are 10 times more living organisms inside our intestines and our gut than we have cells in our body. There are so many of these, and we need to support them because they're going to help us. We need to help them. Now, the best way to support your own probiotics is with fiber. Dietary fiber is the best way, and I would also add on that fresh herbs. Okay, fresh herbs like oregano and parsley and cilantro, those kind of things, right? Raw is better than cooked. Those are the two best things that you can do to keep your gut healthy. Honestly, it is dietary in nature. Fermented foods are good, sauerkraut, that type of thing. Fiber, and that's what prebiotics are. Prebiotics are the food for probiotics. Okay, so the probiotic is the live organism, the bacteria mostly. Okay, there are some other beneficial yeast, etc., but we'll just call it bacteria for now. So probiotics are the good bacteria. We need them. Prebiotics are the foods that they eat. Okay. And they eat fiber. They love fiber. You eat fiber, the good bacteria grow. You eat sugar, the bad bacteria grow. All right, so we want to eat as much fiber as possible. So fiber and fermented foods and fresh raw herbs are honestly the best way to go about this. But how many kids are going to be eating whole grains and a bunch of vegetables and a lot of bean dishes as well as sauerkraut? Not too many. So this is where supplementally you may want to start adding probiotics and perhaps prebiotics. Okay, so let's first talk about probiotics. And again, we've got a lot of research. Before we get in here, we're going to start with our coupon of the weekend. So we'll give this now and at the end. Our coupon of the weekend is Probiotic 20. That's going to give you 20% off anything on our website, spectrumawakening.com. It's going to expire this Sunday, March 7th. That's good for everything on our website, the supplements, the lab tests, everything except our bundles. We bundle some supplements together, and those are at a 25% discount all the time. So you don't get the 20% and the 25, just the 25. If you're interested in telemedicine appointments with me, we do these all day long, 203-265-0444. If you have questions on your order, email us at customerservice@spectrumawakening.com. If you didn't hear our update last week, we have changed our shipping to entirely UPS, except for internationals, which is DHL. We had a lot of problems with delivery with the United States Postal Service. Those problems didn't go away after November, so we are switching to UPS and UPS Shore Post. So we're excited to be able to get you what you order faster and more reliable. Because honestly, once it's out of our building, it's out of our hands, and it's the Postal Service that gets it to you. So they haven't been doing as well. We're going to do better. And of course, in the US, we still have free shipping, even with UPS. International orders do go through DHL, and there's a shipping fee for that. All right, good times. Next, probiotics. All right, so maybe you want to give your kid probiotics. Maybe you want to help. Maybe you took some antibiotics and you know you have to replace the good ones. Or perhaps you drink tap water that has chlorine in it. Chlorine kills bacteria. That's why it's in the tap water, all right? You don't want an infection from your tap water. So they add chlorine. So boom, you've got to support your probiotics, all right? What matters is a few things. And I'm reading my list here of what I wrote down for what matters with probiotics. I got 6 things on my list, and then we're going to go through different research studies. Number 1, the dose, okay? More is better. More is better when it comes to the dose of these things. So, and again, I'm going to be showing you our probiotic, which is Gut Reset, using this as a comparison. I really like ours. There's a lot of probiotics on the market, okay? So you've got to get down to the nitty-gritty details. Number 1 is dose, okay? If you get something like, I'm not going to name other brands and talk about other brands, but there's a very common brand out there that starts with the letter C, and that one has 1 billion probiotics, okay? That's very low dose. Usually probiotics are described in the billions, all right? 1 billion, very low dose. Ours is 30 billion per capsule, okay? So dose matters. More is better when it comes to probiotics. Number 2, most probiotics are grown in dairy. So most probiotics have dairy. If you have a dairy allergy or you're avoiding dairy, be sure to check your probiotics to make sure they're dairy-free, okay? Ours is dairy-free. All of our products are gluten-free and dairy-free. Always will be, no questions. Okay, number 3, you've got to look at the different strains of probiotics. So not all probiotics are created equal, if you will. There are different types of probiotics, and we're going to be getting into the details in the research. There's lactobacillus and many strains of lactobacillus. There's bifidobacter. Excuse me. Bifidobacter is something you want. There's Saccharomyces boulardii, which is another strain. There are different strep strains, which we tend to avoid, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So you want to look at the different strains. You want to make sure you get as varied as possible because, sometimes we use this shotgun approach when it comes to probiotics. Hey, we don't know exactly which strain of lactobacillus or which strain of bifidus is going to be better. So we do the shotgun approach and give you a little bit of everything. All right. Next, there are good strains and bad strains. Okay. In our product, we have multiple strains of lactobacillus, which we'll get into the details of in a second. It has bifidobacter, which is very important, especially for the colon and the large intestine and constipation and diarrhea. Saccharomyces boulardii, which is a wonderful probiotic to fight yeast. The strain that we don't have is something called streptococcus. So streptococcus is a strain that in some people can exacerbate pandas flares. So we try to avoid the strep strains. We used to have strep strains in our other probiotic and we took it out because there were some people having side effects. So we made sure that there is no strep strains in ours. If you're giving a probiotic to your child and has a strep strain, you think your child has pandas, you may want to switch, okay? There's nothing as good as trial and error. Let's try this, see what happens, and switch. Now let's talk about side effects as well, and then we'll move into the research. I talked to a lot of families who say they started giving a probiotic and then they started giving side effects. What side effects? You're looking at behavioral side effects and a lot of digestive pain, usually from gas. In my opinion, I think that it means that the probiotic's working. We take a probiotic to get rid of the bad guys in our gut. And when the bad guys leave, you get die-off reactions. Okay, and those die-off reactions can be pain, can be behavioral in nature. So if you are having side effects, again, sometimes it's hard to tell. Is this a die-off reaction? Is this a dairy reaction because it's a dairy-based probiotic? There's different things to think about. But if you do see these type of GI side effects, it may be because it's working. We may just have to add a binder to help push through the die-off reactions. Okay, so again, big picture, when you're using a probiotic, you gotta look at dose, you gotta look at strains, and you gotta look at dairy-free. Those for me are the big highlights for what you want. All right, let's get into the scientific research because actually there's a decent amount. Number 1, here's a research study that talks about, a lot of people ask for these research studies, and we're going to be putting together an autism training course, which will have all these downloadable. But what I have done here, if you want to look at them sooner, I go to pubmed.gov. I type in autism and probiotics, autism and prebiotics, autism and lactobacillus, and you're going to be able to find all the research, same studies that I have here. Okay, so this is a characterization of intestinal microbiome in children with autism, and they found significant differences between the autism group and the neurotypical group in the evenness of the intestinal microbiome. So again, this is just an initial study saying there's differences in our kids with autism versus our neurotypical kids, okay? How does that affect us? Well, here's a picture from one of the research studies. This is a little child with a typically developing gut and probiotics, and this is autism spectrum, and what they're trying to show is a lot more problems here. Those problems can come from the diet, can come from medications, usually antibiotics, can come from different medical comorbidities, where you physically live, your geographical location, and as well as creating gastrointestinal symptoms. Okay, so that's kind of the general. We know there's a difference in autism and neurotypical, all right? This is an animal study. Let's move into animal studies. This is an animal study that has the daily intake of lactobacillus, which is one of the major probiotic strains, alleviates and improves autistic-like behaviors in our animal study. While improving autistic-like behavior symptoms, it also regulated 5-HT, which is serotonin, regulated excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitter release, as well as increasing oxytocin and balancing the release of GABA and glutamate. So this research study kind of helps identify how probiotics can actually affect your mood. Again, they call this the gut-brain axis. That's a general term that means, guess what? There are things in your gut, the probiotics, that will affect the release and production of brain chemicals like serotonin and oxytocin and GABA and glutamate that will affect your mood, okay? Next, let's move into some more details. Here's the role of probiotics in managing children with autism. This is a summary study. So this group takes a bunch of studies, decides which ones they like, and then does an analysis of the ones they like. So they have 186 articles, and they kept 5 of them, 117 kids with autism. They noticed improvement in gastrointestinal symptoms and with autism symptoms and behavior. Okay, great. So let's get into the more details and go down this rabbit hole. Here's the effects of probiotic supplements on autism spectrum disorders. This is a research study with 85 preschoolers with autism. They gave probiotics for 6 months. Found greater improvements in some GI symptoms, adaptive functioning, and sensory profiles compared with placebo. Pretty cool. We're actually seeing data on a placebo research study with our kids with probiotics in general. Which probiotics did you use? Well, this research study showed probiotics for autism gave a combo of lactobacillus and bifidus, which is also known as bifidobacter. This is a small study with 13 children, but they showed significant improvement in GI complaints on the probiotic compared with the placebo. The authors also noted there were changes in behaviors, but because their sample size was so low, they didn't become statistically significant. However, larger studies have. So here's an effect of a probiotic supplement in children with autism. This one just used a bifidobacter, not the lactobacillus, but they found a reduction in GI symptoms, reduced occurrence of particular aberrant behaviors, and improvement may be explained by the reduction of certain inflammatory cytokines, including interleukin-3 and tumor necrosis factor alpha. So not only are we seeing changes in serotonin levels and oxytocin and GABA from the probiotics, but also changes in inflammatory chemical markers, which is pretty cool. So can we decrease global inflammation with probiotics? Maybe. This is why I really like probiotics for pandas. Next, here's the role of probiotics in children with autism. This was 30 autistic children. They used a combo of Lactobacillus acidophilus, Lactobacillus rhamnosus, and Bifidobacter, and significant improvements in the severity of autism and GI symptoms. And again, this is where we get into the details of which specific strains, not just Lactobacillus in general or Bifidobacter in general, but again, Lactobacillus acidophilus, Lactobacillus rhamnosus. Those are 2 that we've got in our gut reset, okay? We want to put the scientifically proven strains in there, along with other strains where the research hasn't been done yet, but we know this shotgun approach of different forms is helpful. All right, here's another one. Effect of Lactobacillus plantarum in children with autism, and this also ameliorated oppositional defiance behaviors with a probiotic. And yes, we've got the Lactobacillus plantarum in our gut reset. Can you improve OCD with a probiotic? The research says maybe. It's interesting to consider. Here's another one. This is a case study, so it's only 1 kid, but still pretty cool. This is reduction in OCD behaviors and self-injurious behaviors with Saccharomyces boulardii. So this case report looked at OCD and self-injurious behavior. Treatment with Saccharomyces boulardii successfully reduced OCD and the self-injurious behaviors in the symptoms of that autistic child. And again, yeah, we've got the Saccharomyces boulardii, the Lactobacillus acidophilus, the rhamnosus, the plantarum. We've got the Bifidobacter in our gut reset. So we've got all of these research strains in a good dose, in 30 million per capsule. I saw somebody put a question there about powder. We don't have a probiotic powder. However, these capsules, you can easily open them and dump the probiotic powder into something you're eating or drinking. All right, 2 more studies and then we'll wrap up here. We're now going to segue over briefly into prebiotics because prebiotic is the food for the probiotics. And again, dietary fiber is the way to go. If you can get your kid to eat a lot of fiber, you don't need a prebiotic supplement. But if they're not going to eat the fiber, prebiotic supplement could help. What do prebiotics do? They feed the probiotics, and the probiotics create something called a short-chain fatty acid. All right, and those are really important for kids with autism because gastrointestinal symptoms in autism is strongly correlated with the severity of the autism. And children with autism had a much lower level of total short-chain fatty acids. That's produced when you combine probiotics and prebiotics. So probiotics and prebiotics create short-chain fatty acids. That's going to help mitochondria function within the gut, which will help the immune system, which will help kick out candida, which will help kick out infections. So there's so many things that the probiotic and prebiotics do on different levels, not just serotonin markers and brain chemistry markers, but also inflammation changes and supportive mitochondria. So it's really cool. Next, and finally, this is a prebiotic study in kids with autism. The prebiotic study in autism had 30 kids, and they also noticed improvements in antisocial behavior. So basically, we're improving anxiety. I think a lot of antisocial behavior is based on anxiety. A lot of our kids on the spectrum are anxious. Is that because they don't have enough serotonin or oxytocin or GABA because of the probiotic level of the microbiome? Consider it. All right, and of course, we also have a prebiotic supplement. If your kid doesn't eat a lot of dietary fiber, we call it Prebiotic Supreme, which is a nice combo of inulin and arabinogalactan.